That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of That Sounds Fun, The Seasons. I'm your host, Annie F. Downs. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Fall is so packed full, and it can be hard to prioritize our bodies. What does it even mean to be a good steward of our bodies without obsessing over them? We're going to talk about it today as we answer the question, how do I have my healthiest season yet? I think you are going to love this conversation. But before we dive in, I want to tell you about one of our incredible partners. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th was World Mental Health Day, so this month feels like a great opportunity to say thank you to therapists. I know I'm going to thank mine. I'm going there next. My counselors have had such a huge impact on me. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. Having served over 5 million people globally, that is so many people getting the support they need. And it works. The reviews show an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session. When you find the right therapist, it can change everything. And BetterHelp has over 12 years of experience in matching people to the right therapist for them. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who have helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey today. Our friends get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/thatsoundsfun. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thatsoundsfun. Today on the show, my friend is back, Jordan Lee Dooley, and wow, a lot has changed since the last time she was here. She is in a totally new season of life, a mom of 3 under 3, which is wild. Her life is so full. Jordan opened up about how so many of us wrestle with this idea that our bodies are failing us and this new understanding of what it really means to steward our bodies, not just like them or fix them, but truly honor them as part of the calling God's given us. Her new book, Be Good to Your Body, dives deep into that idea. It's not just about how we see our bodies, but about what's true about them and what we're doing with that truth. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. If you're following along in your TSF Seasons Guidebook, you get those note-taking pages ready. We are on page 114. As always, the guidebook's available for you right now at anniefdowns.com/seasons. Okay, here's my conversation with my friend, Jordan Lee Dooley.
That sounds fun.
Okay, Jordan, let's jump in. Listen, welcome back to That Sounds Fun.
Hey, thanks. It's so fun to get to be here. Every single time I have so much fun, but I feel like I'm in a whole different life since the last time.
I know. Okay, so you are, give everybody the story. Yes, because when you were here, last time you were here, August 2022, so literally almost exactly 3 years ago, you were married and you had no children.
Yeah.
Tell me about the last 3 years.
I've had 3 in 3 years. We have 3 under 3 right now. And that's so miraculous always. I think anytime a child is born, it's miraculous. And
Yes.
I feel like it feels even more so in this, story, just because the last time I was on your show, I was talking about my book that I wrote out of a several year journey through struggling to grow our family, waiting, struggling with what's going on with my body. Why is it going through one miscarriage after another? Endometriosis diagnosis. I was just going kind of through it. And I wrote a book in the middle of that about being in the almost, the almost not quite. I would get pregnant and then lose the baby. And it kind of just kept feeling like we almost had a family and then we didn't. We almost got to what we hoped for and then we didn't. And I think in one way or another, so many people could relate to that. So we talked a lot about that in the last conversation we had publicly. And very shortly after that, one thing after another happened. We had my adopted son and my son by birth 5 months apart in 2023. That was not our plan. We were like, that was not what we thought was going to happen. So that happened. And then we had a just miracle little girl about 6 weeks ago. So we have
6 weeks ago. Bless your heart, already being on a microphone.
This is my first, I don't know, I'm like, I might be a little rusty here, but this is my first
absolutely
work thing in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like work.
Tell me what you know about God now that you didn't know in 2022.
Oh, I feel like the biggest lesson, and I actually named my daughter kind of accordingly. I feel like the biggest lesson he really carried us through. And I say carried us because sometimes when you have to learn it, you literally like are limping through it, right? It's just such a hard lesson to learn. But I feel like the biggest lesson I learned and that I learned about God is that he doesn't give according to what we deserve. He gives according to his grace. And just so much grace. I mean, I remember when we were going through the years of struggling and miscarriages and wondering what was happening and why it wasn't happening. I remember kind of my pride, if I look back with honesty, was kind of like, okay, I get that we go through hard things, but like, I feel like I don't deserve this, you know? Like, I was really struggling with this, like, God, why is this happening to me? And whether we say I don't deserve this, when we ask why me, we're kind of implying that, like, I don't deserve this cross or this struggle. And then when he heaped on literally a double portion in our sons, 2 babies in a year when we least expected it, and then on top of that, our daughter, you know, shortly after, I felt like it was just the same feeling of like, I don't deserve this, but from a place of humility, like, whoa, I don't deserve this. And so it was a good just peek into his character and a reminder, like he doesn't give according to what we earn or deserve or should have or shouldn't have. Sometimes the things we have to suffer through are actually a part of his mercy. And he gives according to his grace. And sometimes that's hard to hear when you feel like he isn't giving, but there's such a beauty in like trusting the design that he has for your life. So yeah, that would be the biggest thing I learned about God.
October is Infant Loss Awareness Month, as I'm sure you know. Yep. And so there are some friends of ours that are listening who are still on your August 2022 side of their story. And there's friends like me, Jordan, who will most likely never get to have their own kids. And so in some ways, the grace of God means you aren't going to get the thing you thought you wanted or wanted at some point.
The way you thought it would. It may not be.
That's right.
You know, the way I remember in September of 2022. So very shortly after we had our conversation, I went for a walk and I remember kind of just asking and wrestling with this question of like, would it be like, I don't like it, but is it the absolute worst thing? That it may be that I may, like I thought I may never carry a child. I may never have a biological child on earth. I may never have children in general, but like I was like wrestling with that uncertainty and looking at the reality at the time. And I was like, is it the worst thing if I don't get to birth children and raise children on earth? And maybe if I do raise children, they're not ones that came from my body. And that's what God's called me to do. Is that exactly what I had pictured for my life? Is that the primal desire? Yes and no. Like, I mean, I've always wanted to adopt. We have a lot of adoption in our family, but at the same time, I'd always pictured myself just getting married and having children, right? That's like what you think. And I remember having to really wrestle with that question of like, could I make peace with that? Like, can I make peace with the fact that I have babies in heaven and maybe I'll get to spend eternity with them, but maybe I won't get to raise or birth children here on earth. Yeah. And I was like, kind of getting to this place of like, I don't love it, but like, if that's what God has for me, like, what am I to do? Like, I can be joyful and thankful for that while grieving the hard parts of it, or I can resist it and fight it and just continue to make myself miserable. And so it was just kind of like that fall 3 years ago, I was really wrestling through that. And so it's just crazy to be here, but like, you just never know what's around the corner. But I think the biggest thing beyond that, because I hesitate to say, oh, my story is this story of just like hope and it's going to happen for you this way too, because there'd be so many people who would tell me that after my 3rd miscarriage and the year or 2 we were struggling to even get pregnant before that miscarriage. I remember people would say, oh, I had 2 miscarriages and then I had 2 kids. And I'm like, that's great. But like, what if that doesn't happen for me that way? So while, in some ways I hope my story can be hopeful, I also like to encourage, like, God has his own good story for you, but just it may not look the way you thought it would. I certainly wouldn't have chosen to have 2 kids 5 months apart. Do you know how crazy that is?
And 2 dudes. I mean, I would imagine right now when they're both 2 and 3 years old, your life is insane, Jordan.
Oh, it's just insane. I don't know what's happening half the time. I had to text you before and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes late to this interview. But it's like, it's good that, but it's like, it's not what I would have pictured. I wouldn't have planned out and mapped out my life that way, Yes. Yes. So anyways, yeah.
I think we're a good pair for our friends listening because we both have waited for things and we both have gotten things we didn't think we'd get and we both haven't gotten things that we wanted. And so we are a good, on the spectrum of having children, we are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
100%. And even like in the process of having children, like, for me, I had a live birth. Like, well, first my first son he did not come out of my body, but it was still a beautiful experience. then when it came to birth,
Were y'all there when he was born?
we did get to be there, which was a huge gift.
Yeah,
And we really
yeah.
love his first family. But my second son, it was like my birth plan went totally sideways. I ended up on the operating table. I was pretty traumatized. It was like, thank God I had a live birth, but it was like barely. I mean, it literally felt like I like stumbled through the finish line. And so anyways, it's like I've also experienced those types of things where you're like, gosh, I like had this picture of what it'd be like to finally give birth and finally have a baby. And then I'm in the newborn stage with a colicky baby and can't get myself out of bed, and I'm like, okay, this is not as enjoyable as I thought it would be. Like, I'm so thankful, but like I feel guilty for even struggling with it because it's here, but it felt like I barely fumbled through the finish line. I think there's a lot of people who, finally get the thing that they hoped for or the answered prayer, but it's a really painful process to get to that in one way or another. And then they're like, gosh, this is my greatest blessing. And also it's really, really, really hard.
Yes. I think people need to hear that. I've found that true in my life too, is that when God hands you the thing you've been waiting on, it actually can be a ton of work and a ton of pain. And there's something, the thing that the Lord has dealt with me a lot, Jordan, in the last few months has been like, the older brotherness of me in Luke 15 of like, I've been out here working in the fields. I've been doing this. Where's my party? And it's not even about getting the thing you want. It's, man, I feel like you've answered some of my prayers, but I thought this was going to be easy and it's actually really hard.
Yes.
And that is not what I expected. I thought I'd get the easy road. And the Lord's like, that's the older brotherness in you. That's not how God works.
Yeah. Oh, it's so humbling.
It is so humbling.
It's so humbling. I remember just thinking through like, wow, I kind of suck sometimes, and just seeing, even the other day, like I was, I made the boys food. They're 2.5, 2 and 2.5. And, of course it was like, well, I don't want that food, and I'm like, and it's like grass-fed New York strip steak. So like, we're getting like this gourmet meal. And they're like,
yes.
And I remember just laughing at my husband. I was like, how often do we do that with God though? Because he gives us something really good, maybe something we've been asking for, like dinner, or whatever in that metaphor. And then we get it. And it's like, it's like, it's not that it's not good enough. It's just that our humanness sometimes, like we kind of have a similar reaction. I'm like, oh, this isn't what I thought, or like this isn't as good as I pictured or romanticized it to be, whether that's waiting on marriage and thinking it's going to be a forever like honeymoon, or waiting for parenthood and thinking, gosh, it's just, you picture the little highlight reels people put on Instagram. And then you get into the nitty gritty of like your kid puking all night long, or whatever it is. And it's like, you're still so thankful once you finally have that blessing. But sometimes you're not feeling very like thankful, or you're not feeling very you're just not feeling all those like warm fuzzies because it's hard, and it takes you to the end of yourself, the blessings God gives, whether it's in a relational way or a professional way. There's been a lot of things I've prayed for professionally that did work out, but I'm like, gosh, this is like really taking a toll on me, and it's the thing I wanted, so
I think so many of us need to hear. I mean, so as an unmarried person, often people will say, but marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. And you're like, let me try. Let me prove it. Let me prove that you're right. You know?
But you do appreciate the hard more when you've waited.
That's right.
That's for sure.
That's right. And I think there's a real profound reality to the story you've written in your head, the way you've romanticized how God is going to answer your prayer, does not necessarily mean that what He's given you is wrong. Because I think there are times where in your life where you're like, suddenly I have 3 children under 3. Like, was this what God did? I do something wrong? Is this what God had? And then you go, Just because it's hard doesn't mean it isn't God. It just means I romanticized a story and wrote a story that went, when God answers my prayers, it's going to look like this. And He went, well, I'm going to answer your prayers. It's just not going to look like that.
Yep, exactly. And it might be in the most challenging way possible for you,
Yeah, that's right.
That sounds fun.
Hey, friends, just interrupting this conversation, tell you about one of our incredible partners. Listen, the way we wind down at night is just as important as the way we start our day. Y'all, I kick my day off with AG1 to get all the vitamins and minerals that I need. And now I get to end my day with AGZ. AGZ is the nightly drink that helps you wind down and rest up. Y'all, listen to these flavor options: chocolate mint, and mixed berry. And you can make AGZ either warm or cold and in milk or water. So put that chocolate flavor or that mint chocolate and some almond milk, go ahead and put your phone away, turn on that sound machine, warm up that drink. Listen, you have yourself quite a little nighttime treat. And AGZ is a melatonin-free formula with clinically studied herbs, adaptogens, and minerals. There are no artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, or added sugar. If you're ready to turn down the stress and focus on the rest, head to drinkag1.com/soundsfun. And my friends are going to get a free frother with your first purchase of AGZ. That's drinkag1.com/soundsfun. And I have another incredible partner I get to tell you about, Our Place. We're talking about being good to our bodies today, and thinking about the tools we use to cook with is part of that too. You're going to love the cookware from Our Place. Not only are they the best nonstick pans, but they're completely free from toxins. So many pots and pans and appliances out there are still made with forever chemicals, which none of us want in our food. But Our Place has changed the game. Their cookware is also so cute. Truly, there are so many fun colors. Their cookware set is the perfect place to start. You save $150 when you grab the bundle instead of buying individual pieces. It's 2 multifunctional always pans and 2 perfect pots in mini and full sizes. You can replace that bulky, expensive stack of cookware and sear, saute, fry, bake, boil, roast, steam to your heart's delight. Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/TSF and use the code TSF, like that sounds fun. And my friends are going to get 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial and free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with 0 risk. That's FromOurPlace.com/TSF, and the code is TSF. Okay, now back to our conversation with Jordan.
That sounds fun.
Okay, so speaking of your new book that is coming out, well, let me tell you, we're all year long on That Sounds Fun. We're answering questions every episode, and we're in different seasons, winter, spring, summer, and now we're in fall.
Yep.
And your question that I want us to talk about today is, how do I have my healthiest season yet? There's a lot we cannot control, but there are some things we can control.
Yeah.
And your new book, Be Good to Your Body, is helping me a lot.
I'm glad.
It's helping me a lot. And so God is answering my prayers about how I feel about my body. But it is not easy, Jordan.
Yeah.
What made you decide to tackle this? This is not an easy thing. People are gonna love this book, and people are gonna push back on parts of this book. Why? But you're naturally braver than me about that stuff anyway. But what made you decide to do this?
Mostly it was born out of the 5, 6, 7 year process of my own that I've been on. I don't think you ever leave a wellness journey. It's not like, okay, completed that. Like, your body is always with you, right? But I think through some of the hardest years of that, which some of that was through the season we just discussed, I really was angry with my body. And I felt like, gosh, it's just failing to do the thing it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to work. And what's so interesting, and as I really worked through some of that with God and myself and just the journey of it, I looked back about 10 years to when I was in college, and I was a college student, now it's more than 10 years, but we don't need to talk about that, I don't think. Maybe it's about to. Anyway, I'm losing track of time. But anyways, back to a decade plus ago, when I was in college, and I was equally annoyed with my body, but more so because of how it looked. So when I was younger, it was the diet culture was in my mind, the eat as little as you can, work out as much as you can, get as lean and ripped and fit as you possibly can. Doesn't really matter what that does to your actual health, because we don't care about that right now. We're a college student, right? Flash forward, then I'm going through this whole fertility struggle. I actually care about my body functioning. I'm breaking out in acne. I'm having, all these symptoms of endometriosis. I'm having miscarriages. And I'm like, okay, I don't even really care about the form, the appearance. I really care about the function. And right now it's not functioning well. So I'm really struggling with this feeling, this lie really, that my body's failing me. And so as I kind of worked through that, I went through kind of this long journey of trying to figure out what is true when it comes to not just my body. I think there's plenty of that on body image, and we do discuss that in the book, but more caring for my body and health, because especially I feel in our post-COVID world, so much blew up on the internet about and it's been the case forever. There's been conflicting health messages in the world and online and all of the things forever. But I feel like then we had even more of that, right? There was just more of a focus on health and wellness and awareness of our well-being and our bodies and decisions and all of that. And so I'm finding myself in 2020, 2021, 2020, like swirling, doing like keto and then intermittent fasting and then, dairy free and all the things, trying to like fix my acne, trying to fix my fertility issues. And I was exhausted. I was like, I'll feel a little better for a second, but I feel like I'm kind of right back where I was in college, just like obsessively trying to like fix my body versus like treating it like a gift that God gave me. So that was kind of where this book was born out of. And I'm like, man, if I'm doing this and I grew up in this kind of 90s, 2000s, 2010s, now where we're all at. And as a young adult or, going through my struggle with body image as a young adult and then almost like body beliefs as, just an adult, I'm sure plenty of other women in our generation have had similar challenges. So maybe we just need to talk about it. And I didn't really find any books that tackled this topic in this way. Like there's plenty of Christian biblical books on confidence or body image, and those are so necessary. And like I said, we obviously have to touch on that in the book, but it's not so much a body image book as it is like, what is true about your body? And then how does that influence what you're doing to it, for it, et cetera. So more of like the wellness health practices side of things.
I got to read your book and endorse it 8 months ago. I can't remember. It's been a long time. And immediately, oh, well, of course, I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't true. Everything I wrote was true. But immediately I said, this is the episode I want to have about a healthy life. Like, because we don't talk about bodies a ton around here. But when I do, I'm very careful about who joins me. And so when I read this, one of the lines, your body is a God-given gift, not a project to fix. I think I have thought my body was a project to fix for 45 years.
Me too. For like literally, because I think that's kind of, I kind of explored this in the book, but like, look back to how so many of us in our like teenage years, it was like skinny culture, diet culture, all the things that we grew up in. Then it's almost like we had whiplash and it was like body positivity, and great, let's be positive about our bodies, but it's almost like a total rejection of all of that, which I think can sometimes cause us to swing to the opposite extreme where it's like, well, just don't worry about that. But it's like, but I'm still over here struggling with either health issues or insecurities or both, mostly both, usually both. And so there's like, I kind of had to be like, well, what does scripture actually say? Wow. And, that should be the question we ask about anything. That's confusing. Fair. Unfortunately, they're not like, okay, here's your actual like daily to-do list. But there are a lot of really great principles that I think simplify it for us a little bit and help us go back to, oh yeah, this is a gift. Because we have to start there. Our belief always shapes our behavior, right? And so if we don't believe our body is a gift, or we might like, in theory, right? We'll say Psalm 139, our body is fearfully and wonderfully made. Right. But in practice, what we're really doing is treating it like a project. And we're like, okay, how do I fix this symptom or fix this insecurity or whatever? And it's like nothing wrong with wanting to heal or address symptoms and challenges and things that are difficult in your life or in your body. But I think the heart posture in which we do it really can influence whether we become obsessive about it or totally apathetic about it. And we don't really want to be either. Yeah.
I had a probably the most stressful summer of my life. I had a really stressful summer. And my body has been responding to that. And all of last week, Jordan, what was going in my head was like something like, I don't like my body looks changing, all this stuff. And I woke up 2 days ago and this sentence felt like from God dropped in my head. And I heard you and I heard Jess Connolly. And the sentence in my head was, you have a good body. It's just telling you something is wrong.
Yes. Yep.
And so that was me switching from a problem to fix to a God-given gift of going like, hey, you have a good body. This isn't a body problem. Your body is doing what it's meant to do. It is telling you something is wrong. So I'm going to my doctor this afternoon and being like, here's what I'm noticing. I have a good body. It's just telling me something is wrong.
Yeah. It's doing its job by communicating. It reminds me of when I got my endometriosis diagnosis. Because I remember thinking similarly, I'm like, gosh, it's just so messed up. It's so broken. Like, why is it doing all of this? And it was a similar realization but it was after I got my diagnosis. So good on you for having that clarity prior to any like answer necessarily, like, here's what's wrong. Because I remember when I got that diagnosis, they did the diagnostic laparoscopy, do the surgery. It was like not a simple diagnosis. But for the first time through my several year journey of being like, what is going on? What is wrong with you? Being like mad at this vessel God's given me. it was this moment of like, oh my gosh, my body's been fighting like a chronic disease basically for who knows how long. And no wonder it's sending me all these smoke signals of acne and fertility challenges and painful, like, okay, like I can maybe give it a little more grace and a little more compassion here. And maybe my body isn't failing. Maybe it's actually been fighting for me. And by sending me these symptoms, AKA signs that something is wrong, it's actually been fighting for me, in a world that's fallen, in a world that fails me, because we are up against so many things that influence our health negatively: stress, environmental things, junk in our food. Like we have so many obstacles that we just unfortunately can't fully avoid on this side of heaven. So our bodies, like, they may have some breakdown, but I think we quickly jump to my body's broken, my body is failing me, when it's like, or my body's fighting for me in a broken world that fails me every day. And that's a huge mindset shift that allows us to, it just shifts the way we approach what we do, really.
Jordan, I also have endometriosis, and I didn't know until I had surgery to remove a cyst a couple of years ago. And my doctor was like, "Are your periods really painful?" And I was like, "On what scale?"
Yeah.
Like you kind of go like, it's not a temperature. I can't take a thermometer to my pain. And I was like, I mean, but tell me what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to, And it has been so eye-opening to me. I already knew that I'd been diagnosed with PCOS. And then they found endometriosis 2 years ago. Remind me, in your book, you talk about how we should talk about things like this. Remind me the language we should use.
Oh, yeah. So I remember when I was sitting with a therapist after one of my miscarriages, I was talking to her about like my endometriosis or whatever. And she was like, okay, I understand why you're saying that, because it's like a natural way to talk about it. She's like, but just be careful how often you're calling it my endometriosis or because we kind of just start to identify with it as if it's like ours or part of us. And she's like, it's a symptom. It's a struggle that you have, but like, it's not you, it's not yours. And that was just an eye-opening thing for me, because I had never really thought twice about it, but she's like, so just be mindful of how often you're saying that, because you can quickly, like, the language we speak does reflect what we believe. And I was like, okay.
Talk to our friends who are listening who have a chronic illness of any kind but are, I think about people with Lyme disease or cancer or endometriosis or PCOS, any of the things that feel like, and I'm even thinking of mental health, people who have struggled with depression or OCD or anxiety, and talk to the people who are tired of fighting, that are like, I'm just going to eat whatever I want to eat because I'm so tired of eating healthy and still not feeling great. Or I'm just going to, talk to the people who are tired.
Okay. I get this so much. I would even say like infertility that's not clear as to what the cause is can feel like a chronic thing too.
I'm sure.
Whatever the thing is, there's so many variations of this, but like from my own experience, I feel like something that I was really convicted on, and I talk a lot about this in the book, is like, why are you doing the things? Because if you're looking at your body as a project to fix, then you're really ultimately eating healthy to get the outcome you want. And of course, it's a good thing to pursue health and healing and feeling better. So please don't hear me and think I'm telling you, well, just don't do it for that reason. But I think there has to be an even deeper why push, like propelling us through caring for our bodies well. Because if it's solely to get the outcome we want, to clear the skin, to heal the tumor, to do the whatever, like those are important things. But what happens when those things are healed, or are better, if they do improve? We can start to be like, oh, well, whatever, right? Like we can get apathetic either way, either because we get the outcome we want and we feel like whatever, or because we're just not getting the outcome we want in the timeline we want. So forget about it. Well, I think the remedy to the temptation to either be obsessive or apathetic, which we're talking about the apathetic side right now, is really actually going back to, well, why am I ultimately doing this? And if you are a follower of Christ, it should ultimately be because it's an act of worship. And when we think about the word stewardship, a lot of times as Christians, we say that, well, what does that actually mean? And I talk about this in the book because I'd love for somebody to be like, what is stewardship? Like, define it, because I didn't really know. I thought it was about money. Yeah. But when I remember I was actually talking to a friend, I wrote about this in, I think, the very first chapter, but I was talking to a friend at a party, and it was like a backyard cookout, and she was pregnant for the first time after a long period of struggle her own. Oh, wow. And we were talking about pregnancy after loss, and when you're finally in the answer prayer, right? When you finally have a little improvement of your symptoms, or you finally are pregnant, or whatever it is. And she said, yeah, it's been the ultimate test of stewardship. And I remember thinking, wait, what do you mean? I thought you were going to say like surrender or faith.
Yeah.
Like this. She goes, no, like, and she opens her palms, she puts them up to the sky, and she said, yeah, like everything I have is yours, Lord, like even my body and my people. And I was like, oh, that is like the foundation of stewardship. So I think my encouragement is just like, what are you worshiping? Are you worshiping the desired healing or the desired outcome? Not that that's not a good thing to pursue. Please pursue it. Like do the things, right? The body is designed to heal, but that doesn't mean it always bats 1,000 because we live in a broken world, right?
Beautiful.
So yes, pursue those things. But if the ultimate thing driving you is that you're kind of worshiping the resolution more than the one who created your body and what he has for your body and for your life, that's where I think we can just end up getting super apathetic and discouraged. And that's human. Like there was totally times where I was like, forget it, give me the donut, you know, and you also have to give yourself some grace. I think striving for perfection can equally be as harmful as like throwing in the towel altogether. But
that's
coming back to like stewardship and like, and everything I have is yours, Lord, like thy will be done in my body, but I pray for healing, you know, and it can be both. I think having that heart posture allows us to maintain those healthy disciplines that are good for our bodies, that do benefit them, even if we aren't getting the, you know, complete result that we've been after, or the complete healing as quickly as we'd like, or whatever it might be. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of for me what I had to come to. It's like, what am I worshiping?
There are 2 times in the book where you talk about investments that you're making. So I want us to talk about both of them. One of them I've heard before, and one of them was brand new to me. So the one I've heard before is taking care of your physical body is an investment in your calling. Like I talk about that a lot because I want to live to be 100. I want to be doing as much as I can till I'm 100. Will you talk a little bit though, why have you decided it's an investment not only in your like health, but in your actual calling of what you're called to be good to your body?
Well, I look at it like this. If I am not, you know, if I'm not doing the things that help me feel as well as I can, I might not feel perfect because, like I said, we all have these like crosses to carry, for lack of a better word, right? Or symptoms we may be struggling with, and we may get a reprieve. But regardless, like if I'm not doing the things that help me feel as well as I can, then I don't show up as well. Like I am so much more moody toward my husband. I have way less patience. I don't have nearly the creativity to sit down and write something or put something meaningful out into the world, to show up for the career and the good things that God's given me to do. And so I think about even just like in the short term, like I don't steward my calling as a mother, as a wife, as a writer, as a creator well at all when I don't feel well. Now, and I think sometimes we think when we say I feel my best, it means I feel perfect. And like I said, no, but if I can feel better because I'm actually feeling my body well and getting good rest and not totally burnt out, that makes a difference in how I just do the daily things that God's given me to do. So just from like a micro level and just the small little minutia and small things that I've been asked to do, I show up so much better for those things when I'm well rested, when I'm actually eating real food, you know, when I'm not burning myself out and burning at both ends of the flame. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, but that to me, I think is something like take an honest look at the things God's given you to do, whether it's raising children or hosting a podcast or, you know, taking care of animals as a vet, like, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
Like, how do you show up well when you're not caring for your body well? Because it all kind of starts, I think, there.
Yeah, the other one that really stood out to me on page 57, if anybody already has their book, you said investing in our well-being is an investment into eternity.
Yeah.
But we're leaving our bodies behind. So what do you mean it's an investment into eternity?
Well, it's kind of like if you think about, okay, I'm taking care of my body, so therefore I show up for my calling well, right? So I'm more intentional, patient, Christ-like, et cetera, with my children, with the people in my workplace. I'm probably going to be a little bit more likely to have that hard conversation or that conversation about God or about, you know, maybe just to open that door with the person in the lunchroom or the person at the store when I'm not just like stressed and exhausted and over it and grumpy and in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling well and I'm more attuned to the people and the things around me, really our calling always impacts other people. Otherwise, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And so And when you think about that from an eternal standpoint, like God doesn't give us a calling just for our time here on earth. The body's just the vehicle to carry out the calling, right?
That's
And
right.
so if we're taking good care of the vehicle, we're going to be more likely to get to where we want to go, to do the things that we want to do along the way of our, like the journey of our life well, and we're going to fulfill and be more obedient. And that does have an eternal impact. Like that allows us to invest in our kids or in our marriages or in our friendships, in our coworker relationships. And that can have eternal weight, like we might see like I don't know. So I just look at that, like there's an eternal element to our calling. That's the whole purpose of having a calling. And so it's kind of like if you just reverse engineer it, it's like, well, I have to make sure that I'm taking care of my body well so that I can do that well.
It's incredible. That was so revolutionary to me when I read it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. I have a friend who kind of in all of her pain around some chronic pain and how her body responds to food and the world, it's kind of like, I mean, she has said to me before, this is just my body for now. It doesn't matter. When I get to heaven, I'll get a better body anyway. And the thing that she and I talk about, Jordan, is like, yeah, that is true. And you're making investments right now that matter for forever.
Yep. Yeah. It's two things can be true at one time. It's like, yes, that's why we have to constantly come back to this like middle ground of stewardship. Because if we think this body is all I have, this life is what I've got, it's a lot more likely that we're going to get into these obsessive like patterns of perfecting our body, fixing our body, right? Like this whole project to fix thing. Or we can swing into this apathetic, like we just pick your end of the spectrum.
Right.
Like her tendency is to be like, nah, whatever. Like it's just temporary. And we can swing into apathy, but it's like, is that obedient? And I don't think obedience is obsession or apathy. And so it's like, well, what is obedience? It's good stewardship so that we can do the things God's given us to do well. We don't just take good care of our bodies because we want them to be like these perfect, but why? There's no real like long-term eternal impact on that. But when you shift from having this kind of like worldly lens to more of an eternal lens, it's like, oh, literally like what I'm doing has such an eternal impact because it matters, from a big picture standpoint. So yes, and that's where it does help us to avoid obsession though, by having that kind of like, but it's temporary. So the goal isn't to have this perfect, completely fixed, no flaws body. And I think sometimes, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure you've kind of like seen into this too, but I think sometimes in the wellness world, especially online and social media, there's so much like education of like, if you have this symptoms, it means this, and you need to, and it's like, that's helpful information to an extent, but it can also make you feel like your body should be functioning at 100% all the time.
Yeah.
And if not, you're clearly missing some magic supplement or key nutrient. And it's like, obviously you don't want to just let your body go into breakdown. Like if there's some dysfunction or symptomatic things that are making it more difficult for you to show up well, like let's tackle those things and address them. But at the same time, I think it can feel sometimes like, gosh, like I must have iron overload, or like, I must have like high cortisol. We all have high cortisol. You know what I mean? Like, it feel like information overload that can make us feel like we have to tackle everything or do nothing. And it's like, or there might be a little bit of a middle ground here.
Yes. Everyone who's over 40 thinks they're in perimenopause because of the internet. And so I went to my doctor and I was like, is this? And she was like, no, you have not started perimenopause yet. But all my friends, if I say, oh, I'm sneezing a lot, they're like, oh, it's perimenopause. Do you have your weighted vest? I'm like, my doctor said I'm not in perimenopause, but the internet says we all are.
I know. And that's what's so hard to like, that's kind of a big part of why I was like, we need to kind of go back to what does God actually say? And what do the facts actually say about our body and our life? Because it's not that information is wrong, but we just have information overload that it's
that's right.
So many voices to listen to. I remember I wrote about this in the book too, but I remember I was going through trying to figure out the root of my acne, and everyone's telling me I have this gut issue or that thing. And it was so difficult to kind of navigate. But I remember at one point I had heard and consumed a lot of content about how dairy is so inflammatory and all of these things. And so I cut out dairy. Now, there are definitely times that makes a lot of sense to cut out dairy. But then 5 minutes after I did that, well, probably a few months after I did that, I'm like chugging my almond milk smoothie, and I come across content telling me that almond milk is actually not that beneficial. And I'm like, do I drink the almond milk or do I not? And it's like, it can just make you want to throw in the towel and be like, whatever. Yeah. Literally whatever. And that's kind of where it's like, okay, we have to have like kind of something to go back to when all the voices and the information overload just starts to really stress us out.
That's
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation one more time to tell you about one of our incredible partners, Wayfair. Listen, fall is here, the pumpkins and the leaves and all the fall decor, but that also means holiday decorating and hosting is right around the corner. Wayfair is our one-stop shop for holiday decor for every room in the house. Whether it's Christmas trees, wreaths, or inflatables for the front yard. Are y'all inflatables people? I hope so. Maybe your guest room needs a little refresh with bedding or throw pillows. It's all at Wayfair and for less than you'd spend elsewhere. While I'm out on tour this fall, I am definitely thinking about the cozy I want to come home to. A seasonal switch up to the decor on my shelves and the right throw blankets and lighting to set the living room vibes. Listen, they are all delivered with free and easy shipping. I'm so thankful. Christmas spirit brought right to my front door. Yes, please. There's something for every style and every home at Wayfair, no matter your space or budget. So get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And now back to finish up our conversation with Jordan.
That sounds fun.
If we're trying to have our healthiest season yet, will you talk a little bit about how sleep matters and what we need to be doing? Sleep is so spiritual.
Yeah. It's an act of surrender, honestly,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm naturally more of a night owl, and I like to be like, okay, I want everything in my house reset for the next day and all the things like done, before I can rest. And maybe that's why God had me have 3 under 3, because it was like, you're going to rest when you have a second, but it's almost like it's such a battle, because I'm like, but now my house is even messier. But I think from a sleep standpoint, we want to have great quality sleep, but it's like we live in a world that makes that so hard. We've got artificial light and we've got blue light. We've got distractions, pings, Netflix shows we binge till 1 a.m. and then we're like, oh. So, I would say, like, unless you have littles, I mean, if you have littles, you kind of have a little bit more of a pass here, because there's just things you can't control. But
That's right.
there's still a lot you can't control. Like, I know for me this time around, I go to bed like within an hour of me putting the baby down, knowing she'll be up shortly. I try to do no blue light the hour before bed. When I had really bad adrenal fatigue, I was talking with a provider and I was like, okay, like what supplement do I get on? What do I do? She's like, actually, let's just evaluate what you're doing to support your rest and your circadian rhythm.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, tell me about the last 3 hours of your day. We're kind of going through my day. And then the first couple hours of my day, she's like, well, you're drinking a lot of coffee on an empty stomach. You're not getting any food in the morning. Then you're running out the door to a workout, and then before bed, you're scrolling and you're up late working. So just establishing a few rhythms that support quality sleep and quality, energy, is key. And so for me, that looked like shutting my phone off an hour before I went to bed, reading instead of scrolling. We actually swapped out the light bulbs in our rooms. We have lamps in our rooms. We swapped them out for red light bulbs so that we have a little bit more of red light versus harsh fluorescent light. So just a few things like that can actually really support better quality sleep, even if it's slightly choppy, if you've got kids or whatever, and really just can get you into a more restful state and make a big difference for your mental health and really your physical health too.
I mean, my mornings when I have not slept well and I'm sitting to talk to the Lord, it is very different. I'm like, I don't think the world is going right. I don't think you're here. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually just very tired.
Yes. I actually just kind of need a nap. And I did talk about that too in the book. I talked about how there's, we can get so obsessed and not that protocols aren't helpful. Sometimes we really need them. We need a good detox sometimes, or your liver really can be a mess. I'm not discounting where those are really needed, but I think sometimes because we have so much access to information and what everyone else is doing, we see Karen doing a liver detox, or we see, the wellness junkie sharing, the best new protocol for gut health or whatever. And we can think, oh my gosh, I need to do that. And the question I think we need to be asking ourselves is but have I if I slept well? Have I eaten well? Have I moved my body? And am I doing the basic things first? Am I getting fresh air? Am I hydrating enough? Am I sleeping well? And if not, maybe before I start another fancy expensive protocol, I actually need to start with those things and go back to maybe I just need a nap and a snack, and then we'll see how it's not to say there aren't bigger issues. That doesn't solve everything. But I just think the pressure we can feel when we just live in the world we live in, and we have the information overload we do, can really be resolved by a really good quality sleep to some extent, or it can at least give us more clarity of is this information for me? Is this something God is putting in front of me so that I can actually digest it and apply it to my life? Or is this just noise? And
Yes.
I don't think we can discern that very well when we're like running on E and exhausted.
You do a beautiful job in the book of talking about that too, because a lot of times when we're thinking about our healthiest season, we think, I can't afford that.
Yes.
Being healthy is so expensive. And in a lot of ways it is. Like and
A
so
lot of things you can do that are very expensive. Yes.
yes. Will you talk to us for a second? Give us a couple. You just said a few of them, but if we're on a budget, but we want to have the healthiest season, if we want the rest of this year to be like, I'm dialed in to being as healthy as possible, what are a couple of things on a normal person budget?
Yeah.
I got a normal person budget. I can't have everything I want in the health department.
Yep.
What are some normal things we can have?
Yeah. Well, like the normal things are like, what does the Bible talk about? Right. And so like I really unpack Genesis and in the book, the creation story. Cause it's like, well, when God created us, what did he give us that we would need? It's like really simple and straightforward. And, really normal things we can do is like fresh air, open your windows, try to get outside, hydrate well, if you can add a little like quality sea salt to your water to remineralize. And then, this is kind of like something that I think is hard, but like convenience. I think we have gotten so used to convenience in our world that we forget the cost of it,
Yeah, that's right.
And so one of the, I think, most effective things we can do is just cook at home most of our meals. Like maybe you're already doing that, but if you're not, and I think a lot of us, it can be easy to get into the habit of like picking up food, ordering out. It's like, well, you have a normal person budget, but you're eating out and paying delivery fees and all the things. Like if you commit to just cooking, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be all organic, fancy schmancy, like whole foods food, right? Like even if it's conventional, I would argue that conventional home cooked food, not organic and perfect everything, is still better than ordering out 80%, right? If you can get that ratio to like a good portion of your meals, even if it's just all your dinners and all your breakfasts are at home, that's going to make a difference in terms of you're going to stretch your dollar further. And you're also going to like fuel your body better. And so anyways, I would just say like, try to cook at home more. A crock pot is a great tool. I've been using that a ton because like there are seasons where it's harder to find the time and the desire, to be like, okay, I got to cook and make dishes again. But just eating more of your meals at home, sourcing, like sourcing just real food. It doesn't have to be the most organic, top of the line, perfect everything. That's ideal. But like, we're not going for perfection. We're going for just like, what can I do with what I have? And so, getting outside, fresh air, supporting it's completely free to shut off your phone at 8 p.m.
Yeah, that's right.
It's maybe like $2 to get some like red light bulbs on Amazon, like just a few little things to support your circadian rhythms. It doesn't cost you anything more to not start your day with a double shot espresso, but to start your day with like some eggs, like you probably have them in your fridge anyway. So just making some simple shifts like that to do the free things that support your blood sugar and give you quality, nutrition and give you fresh air. And it'd be great if you could have air purifiers throughout your whole home. Maybe that's something to invest in, but you can start with opening your window and getting some houseplants or like doing a few things to like kind of bring nature into your home. And so
I love that you're like, it is free to turn your phone off. In fact, it'll probably save you money because I do way more shopping.
As we're like scrolling through all the ads of all the things we can't afford. And it's like, maybe you just shut that off. And it's hard because like, I'm like, I feel like I sometimes contribute to that problem because like, I obviously share like the healthy things that I find, but at the end of the day, it's a personal decision and no one is putting the pressure on you. And I think this is something we can forget with all the information and ads and everything on the internet, but like no one is put like the pressure to do and invest and buy all the health gadgets and tools and things and cleanest everything. Like, somebody might suggest that, somebody else might be loving that and they might share it with you, but like no one puts the pressure to do all of that and to do it all perfectly on you other than yourself. It can feel like the internet and everybody's putting it on you, but it's just, you're choosing how much to consume. You're choosing how much to be engaged with that. And so like the pressure to do all of that isn't coming from God and it's not really even coming from other people, although it can feel that way. And I think just taking that personal responsibility of like, it's like one of the freest things I can do is just not stare at a blue screen all day, and maybe like make some more home cooked meals, even if they're, groceries on a budget, like that's better. So anyway, just a few simple shifts can make a big, big difference.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. What did we not talk about that you want to make sure we say? Did we leave anything out?
Oh, good question. I feel like we've covered a lot. I don't want to like bore everybody, but I feel like we've covered a lot. I think it's just going back to doing the free things before you do the costly things. And those and like, how do I say this? Tools are great. like red lights and ear doctors and different things that you could put into your life to make it a little easier or a little bit like healthier is awesome. But I just want to encourage you, like sometimes that like going back to the way God designed us to live is not about perfection, and it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing you ever do. And I say going back to God's design just because I think we've gotten so far from it. Like we live in a world of so much convenience and so much quick fixes, and everybody wants the magic pill and the fastest solution ever. And I think even just going like 2% closer, getting 2% closer to how God designed us to eat real food from the earth. He designed us to be in community. Oh, that's another thing. That's what I want to talk about. Annie, I want to talk about really quick that health is not just working out and salads and food and sleep. Like those are healthy disciplines. But one of the most overlooked, I think, areas of health is community and relationships.
Beautiful.
And I think that's just something maybe to close with, because they actually studied a community in Pennsylvania. I think it was called the Rosetto effect. I don't want to say that, but basically they found like people who lived in a close-knit community had much lower rates of things like heart disease and whatnot, because when you're in a good community, when you're connected and you're not isolated, you're more likely to make healthier choices. You're happier, you're more fulfilled. Like all of that, that influences your physical health, right? Like our emotional and mental and physical health are so interconnected, and our spiritual health. And so being in a healthy community, or at least getting like connected to people that care about you, and that can be hard. But that you care about you, like just investing in that and prioritizing that usually isn't very expensive, like it's not like you're going and getting the fanciest gym membership, but trying to invest in community and really seeing that as part of your health regimen, not just the jog you do in the morning and the protein you drink after. Like, no, like the relationships you have are actually influencing your health and your well-being in ways that you probably don't even realize. So like thinking about that way makes such a huge impact on, I think, our health in general and the way we care for our bodies well. So I wanted to mention.
It's also free. Going to church on a Sunday morning is free. You don't have to. You don't have to pay to get in that door.
Calling your friend and like actually having a conversation doesn't really cost you anything.
Totally free.
I mean, I guess you have a phone bill, but like you're paying it anyway, right? So like,
That's
I think we overlook that part of health so much because we almost think about our bodies and like how we care for them and like these little, we have our mental health and then we have our physical health. And it's like, well, they're all so interconnected. And I think about God put Adam in a garden, and then he said, it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
And so when he was creating us as a human race, one of the first needs he identified, in addition to like being outside, sunlight, real food from the garden, etc. One of the first things he identified was the need for each other. And so I just think that's something we overlook a lot.
It's beautiful. I'm so glad this book exists. Be Good to Your Body. It comes out this week that everybody's hearing this. And so I'm so glad it's available so that we can keep diving into this. Thank you for your work. It has helped me so much.
Thank you.
I am, Jordan has taken historical biblical truths and translated them into daily, practical, healthy rhythms, says Annie F. Downs.
Yes, right on the
So she says.
Love it.
Well, so the last question we always ask. This is your 4th episode, by the way, Jordan. And when you get to your 5th episode, you join the Hall of Fun. So you are
close.
so close. You're so
I should
close.
write one more book, I think, right?
That's exactly right. You need to write just one more. Or tell me, Annie, I got one more thing to say, and we'll come on and do it.
Okay, great.
Okay, the last question we always ask, as you know, is because the show is called That Sounds Fun. Tell me what sounds fun to you.
Okay. Gosh, so many things sound fun. But honestly, in this season, I think something that sounds so fun is having like a nice long spa day. Like a good massage and just like a long nap,
Yes.
Cucumbers on my eyes. I don't know. That just sounds really, a couple years ago, that would have sounded incredibly boring to me. But now I'm like, that sounds really fun and enjoyable.
Yes.
Like
I agree with you.
Like having it be like a girl's day. I think that sounds really fun. And that would be a good way to be good to my body too.
That's exactly right. Give it a little scrub.
Yep, exactly.
That's right. Well, thank you for your work. Thanks for your friendship. I'm so grateful for what you do and excited for everybody to get this.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. You guys, isn't she awesome? So brilliant and like so helpful I found a really healthy way to think and talk about our bodies and who we want to be and where our spiritual and mental and emotional health meet our physical health. I just loved it. So head over to social media, tell Jordan thank you for being on the show, and get your copy of Be Good to Your Body. It is officially out tomorrow. If you enjoyed this episode, I think you'd also really love episode 303 about breaking free from body shame with Jess Connolly, or episode 897 with Emily Morrow from Really Very Crunchy. If you have any questions from this episode, drop them in the Q&A box on your Spotify app. If you're a Spotify listener like me, we would love to answer them, or send them to us on Instagram at That Sounds Fun Podcast. We'll try to answer them there. If you need anything else from me, I'm embarrassingly easy to find. Annie F. Downs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and old TikTok. Anywhere you need me, that's where you can find me. And I think that's it for me today, friends. Go out or stay home and do something that sounds fun to you, and I will do the same. Genuinely, today what sounds fun to me is seeing my counselor. I cannot wait to see her. That is the next thing on my to-do today. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you back here on Monday with one of my favorites and yours. It is Pastor David Platt. We'll see y'all then.
That sounds fun.
That sounds fun.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Check 1, 2 on the microphone. Annie F. Downs in your car to your home. Every week it's something new. A deep talk or an interview. She'll make you laugh, she'll make you cry. When it's dark out, she's a light. When you're down, get you feeling right.